Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely reframe how you think about your brain's lifespan. If you're like most people, you probably just assume that cognitive decline and memory loss are, well, inevitable parts of getting old. But what if I told you that the power to pause, slow down, or actually even reverse that decline is entirely in your hands, right now, no matter your age? Okay, let's dive right into this, because this first number we're looking at, 53%, is absolutely staggering. According to board-certified neurologists Dr. Aisha and Dr. Dean Sherzai, you can reduce your chance of getting Alzheimer's by 53% just by making targeted, everyday changes to your nutrition. Seriously, your brain is incredibly forgiving, and today we're going to explore exactly how you can harness that resilience. But to really understand how to protect our brains, we first need to unpack the hidden timeline of brain decline.
So, let's get into Section 1, the invisible cognitive threat.
First things first, it is absolutely crucial to clear up a really common misconception. People throw around the words dementia and Alzheimer's like they're the exact same thing, but they're really not. Dementia is actually an umbrella term. It covers various conditions that affect your memory and cognition enough to mess with your daily life. Alzheimer's is simply the most prominent type under that umbrella, making up about 60 to 70% of all dementia cases.
Now here's the crucial point. This damage does not happen overnight. When we look at the timeline of cognitive decline, there's something terrifying but fascinating you need to know. The brain has absolutely no pain receptors, none. So you literally don't feel it when toxic proteins like amyloid beta and tau tangles start building up. You could be in this preclinical stage for 20 years or even more, where silent wear and tear is just compounding from bad sleep, poor diet, or a sedentary lifestyle. All of this happens long before you ever experience that very first symptom of forgetfulness. We really have to stop treating dementia as an old person's disease and start recognizing it as the result of a lifelong accumulation of habits. Let's move out of that abstract timeline for a second and take a look directly into the microscopic anatomy of your own brain.
Moving right along to Section 2, inside your brain's connections.
Your brain is a massive, complex machine. Think about this. It weighs only about 3 pounds, which is a tiny fraction of your overall body weight, right? Yet it hoovers up a massive 25% of your body's energy. It is packed with 86 billion neurons and over 1 trillion potential connections. It's the hungriest, most active, and arguably the most adaptable organ in all of human biology. And here's the best part. Because it's so active, its health is entirely under your control.
Try to picture your neurons like little dots, and the connections between them are like strings. If you're not eating well, or maybe you're skimping on sleep, or just not challenging yourself, your neurons might only be held together by 1 or 2 really fragile strings. So, say you have a bad night of sleep or a couple of drinks. Snap! A string gets cut, and that connection is just gone. But if you actively care for your brain, a single healthy neuron can weave up to 30,000 robust connections. It's incredible. Even if a few strings inevitably get cut by life's bumps and bruises, a healthy brain has tens of thousands of backup pathways ready to keep communicating. So, what is it in our modern lives that's actively taking a pair of scissors to those beautiful neuronal connections? Let's find out.
Which brings us to Section 3, the danger of chronic stress.
Now, there's a heavy but vital truth we need to talk about here, especially for those of you who are caring for loved ones. Did you know that partners of people who develop dementia actually have a 600% greater risk of developing the disease themselves? 600%? Why? Well, it comes down to sheer, relentless chronic stress combined with the reality that caregivers often share the exact same environment. They're often eating the same quick, unhealthy foods and sacrificing their own sleep and exercise just to care for someone else. You see, stress isn't just a fleeting emotion. It's a physical state of destruction for your brain. When you're dealing with chronic stress, your body gets trapped in this constant fight or flight response. Your cortisol levels absolutely spike. Your brain is essentially screaming, hey, we're running from a tiger right now. I do not have time to build memories or be creative. So it literally shuts down the frontal lobe's memory encoding processes. And it gets worse. Studies actually show that chronic, bad stress physically shrinks the hippocampus, which is the literal center of memory in your brain. But don't worry. Here is where our story shifts from a stark warning to a highly empowering solution. Let's explore a medical framework that's designed to pause, slow down, or even reverse this cognitive decline.
All right, let's get into the solution. Section 4, the neuro framework.
The Sherzais have managed to simplify decades of dense neurological research into one incredibly handy acronym, NEURO. That stands for nutrition, exercise, unwind,
restorative sleep, and optimize. Doing just 1 or 2 of these drops your risk of Alzheimer's significantly. But get this, if you can implement just 4 of these 5 habits, research shows you can slash your risk of Alzheimer's by a phenomenal 60%.
Let's break down how this builds, starting with the N for nutrition. And look, you don't need to go out and buy ridiculously expensive superfoods. Studies show that simply adding 1 single serving of leafy greens, we're talking spinach, kale, collard greens, to your daily diet makes your brain look 11 years younger on neuroimaging scans. 11 years! Just a handful of spinach tossed into a soup or a salad gives your brain the complex carbohydrates and anti-inflammatory compounds it desperately needs to thrive.
Now let's talk about the E in neuro, exercise. This one is wild. It turns out your legs are actually the biggest pump in your body. Yeah, even more than your heart. Building leg strength pushes massive amounts of blood up to your brain and creates growth factors that literally build brain volume. In a fascinating study of twins, the sibling who did simple leg strengthening exercises reduced their chance of Alzheimer's by 47%. And you don't even need a gym membership. Doing mini squats right in front of the couch for 60 seconds while you're watching your favorite show is enough to start laying down brand new neuronal connections.
The U and the O really go hand in hand here. Unwind and optimize. To unwind means you have to aggressively cut out the bad stress. You know what I mean. The constant anxiety, the endless doom scrolling, that feeling of a lack of control that just shreds your neurons. But you shouldn't just sit in a dark room doing absolutely nothing either. You need to optimize by replacing it with good stress. The brain actually demands complexity to stay sharp. Learning a new language, picking up the guitar, or really engaging in a passionate book club, these things force your entire brain, your motor, visual, emotional, and language centers to light up and grow.
And then we have the R, restorative sleep. Try to think of sleep as your brain's night shift. When you hit that deep sleep phase, something called the glymphatic system kicks into gear and literally power washes your brain with fluid. Meanwhile, these specialized little janitor cells called microglia sweep away all the toxic proteins and debris that piled up during the day. This is also the exact time your brain takes the messy, scattered post-it notes of your short-term memories and neatly files them away into permanent long-term Word documents. Without sleep, that garbage just piles up. So how do all these individual daily habits come together to protect us in the long run?
Let's tie it all together in Section 5, Building Your Brain Bank. I want you to picture 2 glass jars, both filled with marbles. One jar is practically empty. This represents someone with a very low cognitive reserve, someone who hasn't really prioritized their sleep or nutrition. For them, just one bad night of sleep or a minor bump on the head, and they lose the last of their marbles. They immediately feel that cognitive deficit. But look at the other jar. It is full to the brim. This person has built up a massive cognitive reserve by practicing those neuro habits. If they face a period of extreme stress or take on caregiving or get sick, sure, they might lose a few marbles, but they have so much healthy reserve left over that their brain just bounces right back.
And this perfectly brings us to the overarching philosophy of this entire explainer. If you take care of your brain, you've more than taken care of the rest of the body. Because the brain is the most vascular, energy-hungry, demanding organ you possess, building habits that cater to its extreme needs will naturally create phenomenal health for your heart, your lungs, and your immune system. It truly is the ultimate command center.
A beautiful, robust brain is definitely not built overnight. It's built exactly like a magnificent cathedral, just one tiny, simple brick at a time. A 25-minute brisk walk, that's a brick. A serving of leafy greens, that's a brick. Going to bed at the exact same time every night, another brick. You don't have to change your entire life today, but you absolutely can start laying the foundation right now. So I'll leave you with this question to carry with you. Which brick will you lay today to build your cognitive cathedral?